Recently, a viral post drew comparisons between the antagonist from the black phone, the grabber, and the real-life monster that's rocked the world, pointing to both having the exact same eerie eyes. But this wasn't the only thing that linked the grabber to the disgraced financier, as this character seems to be an on-screen manifestation of the very real evil. Today, we are decoding the movie The Black Phone, revealing how this isn't just a horror movie, but a documentary in disguise. Released in 2021, The Black Phone follows 13-year-old Finney, kidnapped by a masked killer known as the Grabber. Taken to a dark, soundproof basement, Finney is forced into a disturbing game called Naughty Boy. The Grabber sets a trap. He leaves the basement door unlocked while pretending to sleep upstairs. He then waits for the victim to attempt an escape. The moment they do, the Grabber, who was wide awake the whole time, intercepts them. In his twisted mind, they're now a naughty boy, giving him the excuse to punish them until they pass out. This was his diabolical cycle. In the movie, Finney communicates with the spirits of past victims through a supernatural phone, eventually defeating the Grabber and escaping. But while the movie has a happy ending, the same can't be said for the victims of the real-life Grabber. You cannot deny that this character has the exact same eyes as the wickedest man to ever live. I don't think this was a coincidence. I believe they cast someone with those distinct eyes for a very specific reason. A secret nod to show us that this evil was much more real than we want to believe. The Grabber didn't just snatch kids, he lured them. In the movie, he poses as a struggling magician, dropping groceries or black balloons to play on a child's innocence. The moment they stop to help, he uses a chemical agent to incapacitate them and vanishes into a black van. Once they were in that soundproof basement, he set his trap. He needed them to fail his game so he can justify the violence that followed. This is a direct metaphor for the real-life method used by this monster. Just like the Grabber, the real-life monster used a lure, the promise of money or a modeling career. He sent out scouts to high schools and middle schools, offering cash for massages. Once the victim was lured to the estate, the isolation began, just like Finney in the basement. The massage was the trap. The moment they agreed, he revealed his true darker intentions. In The Black Phone, it was a concrete dungeon. In real life, it was a multi-million-dollar estate or a secluded island where no one can hear them scream. The similarities go even deeper into the history of these monsters. In the movie, the Grabber worked as a child counselor, while in reality, this monster strategically positioned himself as a math and physics teacher at a prestigious school. Both men occupied positions of trust, placing themselves exactly where they can study their targets long before their true intentions were revealed. But the most chilling parallel isn't how they started, it's how they were stopped in the end. In The Black Phone, the Grabber is outsmarted by the very victims he tried to silence. His past victims reached through the veil to tell Finney exactly how to stop him. In the real world, the truth was finally revealed when the survivors stood up and exposed the network. Their bravery led to the second and final arrest that ended his reign for good. Whether it's on a movie screen or in a courtroom, the message is the same. The truth always finds a way to call out from the darkness. But the similarities don't stop there. We also have to look at the symbolism behind the creepy mask he wears. In the movie, the Grabber wears a multi-part mask that he consistently swaps out. One for smiling, one for frowning, and one with no mouth at all. He literally changes his face depending on the game he's playing. To me, this is a direct nod to the dual lives these real-life monsters lead. One face is the brilliant philanthropist or the genius investor they show to the public, while the other face is the monster they keep in the shadows. It's about the public versus the private persona. Just like the Grabber used magic tricks to appear harmless, this monster uses wealth and science to mask his true intentions. There is also the character of Max, the Grabber's brother who lives in the same house but claims to be completely oblivious to the kidnappings happening right under his feet. He's obsessed with solving the crimes, while the victim is literally in his basement. Now, how many times have we seen this in the real world? The business partners, the socialites, and the family members who claim they saw nothing while the unthinkable was happening right in front of them. They want us to believe The Black Phone is just a scary ghost story about a haunted rotary phone. But when you look at the mask, the enablers in the house, and the magician's lore, you realize the phone isn't the only thing that's connected to another world. This movie wasn't just made to scare us, it was made to show us the blueprint of how they operate in plain sight. We have to ask ourselves, why are these stories even made in the first place? Who is behind these narratives that mirror real-world monsters so perfectly? When I looked into the source, I found something very interesting. The Black Phone is based on a story by Joe Hill. If that name doesn't ring a bell, he is the son of the most famous horror writer in history, Stephen King. Now, why is that connection so important? Because Stephen King once infamously tweeted that the client list was as real as Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. He dismissed the reality of these victims as a fairy tale. Many saw this as more than just a disrespectful tweet. They saw it as a red flag. Why would someone go so far out of their way to claim the list isn't real? It makes you wonder what's being hidden, especially when you look at the patterns in their work. From The Black Phone to Stephen King's It, where a monster feeds on the fear of children in a sewer dungeon, or The Institute, where gifted children are kidnapped for their powers, or even the shadowy groups in the Shining universe who hunt kids to drain them, there is a dark, consistent pattern here. When the person writing these stories tells you that the real-world evidence is a fairy tale, you have to ask, is he writing fiction, or is he showing us what he knows? Now, I think a full video into the world of Stephen King and The Shining is definitely needed. If you want to see that, comment The Shining below. And if I see enough of you interested, I'll make sure that's the next video. You have to realize that The Black Phone isn't an isolated incident. It's a part of a larger cinematic tapestry we've been decoding on this channel for a long time. Think back to my video on Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick wasn't just making a movie about a mass party. He was showing us the ritualistic architecture of the elite. He showed us the magic circle before he was silenced. Fast forward to today, and The Black Phone is doing the exact same thing, just for a different layer of the system. While Kubrick showed us the high ritual, Joe Hill and Stephen King are showing us the ground level, the mechanics of the kidnapping, the isolation, and the naughty boy trap. They are two sides of the same coin. One shows you the mansion, the other shows you the basement, but they're both describing the same disturbing underworld. There is one more detail I noticed from the movie: the physical layout of the grabber's basement. In the movie, the room is described as being completely soundproofed, a concrete box where no one can hear you scream. Despite being in the middle of a suburban neighborhood, it was designed to be a blind spot in reality. Now, when you look at the reports from the real-life monsters' properties, from the ranch in New Mexico to the secluded island, there is a recurring theme of soundproof rooms and high-tech isolation. The victims described rooms with reinforced walls and heavy doors, specifically built to ensure that no matter how loud the horror got, the outside world remained oblivious. In The Black Phone, the police are shown as being completely incompetent, literally standing right above the basement and seeing nothing. This is the most realistic part of the movie. It mirrors the decades of intentional blindness from the authorities who walked the halls of those mansions and flew on those private planes, only to claim later that they noticed nothing unusual. The movie shows us that you don't need a secret island to hide an atrocity. Many of you ask, if this is a secret, why do they put it in movies? This is what many people call the revelation of the method. The theory is, the system has to tell you what they're doing to absolve themselves of the spiritual debt. By putting it in a horror movie, they turn a horrific reality into a jump scare. They want you to see the black van, the mask, and the soundproof basement and think, oh, that's just like that movie I saw. They are desensitizing you. They are turning your intuition into entertainment, so that when you see the real-world evidence, when you hear about the disgraced financier or the private island, your brain dismisses it as a loony theory or a fairy tale, exactly like Stephen King's tweet tried to do. Remember, in the February documents, we saw plenty of connections between that world and Hollywood, showing these movie plots could theoretically be inspired by real-life evil. The pattern is becoming too loud to ignore. From the sewers of Derry in It, to the shine being drained from children, to the grabber in The Black Phone, these stories are obsessed with the same theme: the theft of innocence. When a writer with a global platform tells you the client list is as real as Santa Claus, while his own son releases movies like The Black Phone, that isn't a coincidence. It's a glitch in the narrative they built for us. They want us to stay on the surface, but the black phone is ringing, and the voices on the other end are telling a story the elite desperately hope we see as fiction. This is why I decode these movies, because once you see the blueprint, you can't unsee it. The Black Phone wasn't just a 2021 horror hit. It was an hour-and-a-half documentary disguised as fiction. Now, if you made it this far, it means you're seeing the patterns too. I want to hear from you in the comments. Why do you think the King family keeps telling the same disturbing story? Because to me, it seems like Hollywood loves telling on themselves, just like they're doing with the FX new show, The Beauty. If you want to hear about how the elite plan on living forever and why they are obsessed with the idea of immortality, check out this video on The Beauty right now. And if you like unfiltered videos revealing the truth the mainstream media won't dare tell you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join the truth movement. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.